Welcome to the Wellnessly podcast. My name is Ella, and my friend is Hannah Lee Young. Hannah was a dive instructor turned into a pro off-road triathlete. So, shall we dive in? All right, let's get started. So firstly, who are you?
All right, my name's Hannah Young. I live up here on the Sunshine Coast. I am an elite Xterra athlete and I am 29 years of age.
Oh, good. So what's your earliest memory of being fit?
It dates back really early. So I grew up in a small country town called Cobar, and there wasn't a lot to do out there except for school and sport, really, like when you're a kid. Yeah, so basically we did a lot of sport growing up. So I was always super fit and I was extremely competitive. We only had two schools out in Cobar, and I swapped schools when I was in year 4. And that was probably the earliest memory of me like doing like an athletics carnival or a swimming carnival and being like super competitive. And then pretty much every year since then I would be like athletics champion or swimming champion, and then I'd go to like the next level and stuff, and I would always just be trying to like go down to the oval and run and do practice my long jump. And I've always been a very all-in sort of person. And then like I started getting into basketball, and every single spare minute of my time I would just be playing basketball in the backyard, going down to the sports stadium and practicing, and that's all I wanted to do. But unfortunately, when you live in such a remote sort of town, your opportunities aren't as, I guess, vast as, you know, people who live in larger towns and cities. So I never quite went anywhere with any of that sport.
So what was the closest
basically
town you were?
So Dubbo was the closest town, so that was 3 hours away. Like, you literally, it's going to sound hilarious, but to buy like a decent pair of undies you had to drive 3 hours. Like, I remember like going with a friend to Dubbo and just driving to get McDonald's and then driving home like all in one day.
Oh my God.
And that was just a normal thing. Like, we didn't really think twice about it. We'd go down for a day trip just to do a decent shop and drive home. And yeah, it was such a different life. But I loved it. It was really good.
And then, so what point did you move out of the country town? Was that to go to university or?
No, so I didn't do university. It's a bit of a funny story. So I had no idea what I wanted to do when I left school. I actually started an electrical apprenticeship in year 11, school-based, and thought, beauty, I'm going to become an electrician. This is going to set me up. It's going to be amazing. So I worked 2 days a week and went to school 3 days a week through year 11 and 12. So really like had the best senior years of high school possible. And then in my first year of like, so when you do school-based, it means that the first year of the apprenticeship split over 2 years. And then when I left school and started my second year, the boss, this is actually a really funny story. The boss that I was doing my electrical apprenticeship through with the school, he decided that it wasn't for me. So he actually let me go. Like, he made me sit an aptitude test because he was pretty concerned that I wasn't going to cut it. And then, yeah, I'm not very mechanically minded. So he sat me down and it was very like...
Who wasn't the bright spark in this situation?
That was me. I was not a bright spark. Like, I was smart, but I just wasn't, like, a simple job that would take someone mechanically minded, you know, half a day would probably take me 3. Like, I just couldn't figure out how to do things. And anyway, it was the first time I'd ever been like fired or let go, and I was so heartbroken and so angry that I went to the only other electrical place in town and said, can you please help me finish my apprenticeship? And they took me on, and I hated it. It was so bad. And I got through like halfway through my second year, and I think I just gave up. I was like, I just don't even want to go to work. This is horrible. I hate this job. What am I going to do? And yeah, and I ended up quitting, much to my parents' disgusting at the time. They were like, you can't quit, like, you've only got a few more years. I'm like, no, I hate this job. Like, why would I want to continue? And, you know, I don't enjoy it. I want to go do something that I love. So then I just went and dabbled in, like, heaps of different things. I started skydiving. I went and did, like, my scuba diving course. So bearing in mind that I had to drive 10 hours to the beach to do most of these activities.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and then basically, long story short, I decided I want to become a dive instructor.
Okay.
And once again, my parents were like, are you kidding? Like, are you serious? What are you talking about? And I was like, yep, I'm going to move to Cambodia and I'm going to be a dive instructor. And they were like, nah. I'm pretty sure Mum's words were, oh, it's just a phase. Like, you know, you'll get through it. I didn't. Anyway, yeah, basically in 2015, I just turned 21, so a month after my 21st, I moved to Cambodia and, yeah, became a dive instructor and ended up living overseas for almost 5 years.
Wow.
I lived in Cambodia for a year, then I moved to another small Pacific island for like 6 months. That didn't work out, so I came back home to Cobar and then I got offered the job of a lifetime working at a luxury private island resort in Fiji.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, worked there for 3 years nearly and met my partner and here I am now. So
did you teach him how to dive or was he working alongside you?
no, we both worked for the same owner. So this wealthy man built this resort, this called Kokomo Private Island Resort, and he was amazing, so good to work for. And Luke, my partner, worked for him, but in Australia, and he actually helped to like build the resort and yeah, like had a lot of involvement. And he was the one that was looking for a female dive instructor to join the team, and I got someone put me in touch with him, and yeah, we had an interview, and 3 weeks later they flew me out, and then I just started living in Fiji, which was pretty amazing.
God, you're living the dream. How do you find like the island life compared to living in Australia, or compared to your like country town life? Do you feel they were pretty similar? You were pretty isolated from a lot in both situations?
Yeah, definitely. Like the island that we were on, it was extremely well set up. So it was very developed. I had a really good life there. Like I had full internet. They looked after me. I had my own room. Like it's going to sound crazy, but I was so well looked after. Like I didn't have to cook. All my meals were provided. I didn't have to do my laundry. My room got clean. Like it was just, yeah, it was, it was a really, basically didn't have to be an adult. And, yeah, it was, but then, yeah, I guess that small community, like you really had to help each other out and get along and just sort of, yeah, you were sort of like one big family. And I guess living in a small country town, like it's that same sort of community mindset in a way. Sometimes it can be too small, but like for majority of it, it was, I made friends for life at that place and it really helped develop me, I guess, in those, you know, critical years of becoming like an adult. And yeah, it was amazing. It was really cool.
And how far was this island from like the main island of Fiji?
It was about a 45-minute seaplane flight.
It was closer than Dubbo was.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, I would just jump on the plane, or we'd get a speedboat back to the mainland for my time off, and then yeah, I'd jump on a flight to like Bali or somewhere and do my time off over there just because it was cheap, and I love surfing and training, and just like it just provided a real healthy outlet in a way to go over and just spend some time to just decompress, and then go back to Fiji to start the next sort of block of work. So
how long were these blocks of work that you were doing?
They started it was like 6 weeks on, 1 week off. So it was pretty full on at the start. And then I guess as time went on, and I would start to like have a bit of annual leave and stuff, my time off would sort of extend. So I'd start to go on like a couple of longer holidays, and as the resort developed, yeah, you got into a bit more of a routine with your working days and stuff. So they weren't too bad. I think I was working like 9 to 6 or 9 to 8 like every day. So I got into a bit of a routine of like I'd wake up in the morning, go into a gym session, then I'd jump in and do like an ocean swim. And we had all these resident turtles that were out the front of the resort. And every morning I'd just jump in with my mask on and I'd just swim with the turtles. And it was just crazy. Like, yeah, it was a pretty good life. So, and then I'd start work at night and just get to dive and teach people how to dive all day. And it was pretty special.
Oh, that sounds so good. So at what point did you decide it was time to hang up the goggles and come back to Australia?
So in at the end of 20, I met Luke again. Like I'd already been introduced to him a few years before, but like I'd always had like a bit cheesy, but I've always had a little bit of a crush on him because he's just such a nice guy. But you know, we're very professional. We both work for the same person, and we never wanted to jeopardize like, you know, any of the working relationship. So it wasn't sort of till towards the end of 2019 he came to the resort to help out for a couple of days, and then we sort of reconnected and then sort of were inseparable ever since. And so in January 2020 I decided I'd like to move back to Australia to be closer to him, and because we still worked for the same people, we would always have that connection to the island. So it was not like I was leaving. I just wasn't really living there anymore. And it was actually perfect timing because then literally COVID happened.
Yeah.
Things started to get crazy, and then I couldn't go to Fiji and really be there anyway. So it was meant to be, really. It was pretty cool.
And
good
so
timing.
Did you come back to Australia working for the same company as well?
Yeah, sort of. It was tricky times in COVID. So we were based in Sydney because that's where Luke was working, and then he was on rotation for work. So he'd work time on, time off. So in our time off, we would just we were doing like a little bit of traveling, and then I would help out and work with them when they sort of needed me. And then it wasn't until like the following year that we got back into the diving and stuff, and spent a bit more time working and having a bit more, I guess, structure in a way. So just sort of took that year a bit easy, and I guess enjoyed just being together properly, and and then sort of made plans from there.
How good. So at what point did like triathlon and the off-road kind of come into that?
So it was at the end of 2021. So we work on Luke, he's the captain of a big motor yacht boat basically, and for the owner of the resort, and I was a dive instructor on that boat as well. So we were just finishing a season up in Airlie Beach, up in the Whitsundays in Cairns. And Luke just randomly came out with, I'm going to sign up for this off-road triathlon. I was like, what? Like I'd done a couple of road triathlons in Cobar, but they were very, very small, and they were run by like a really awesome small club, but it was like hard, and I never really knew what I was doing. I could run and I could swim, but I actually didn't really know how to ride properly. Like I didn't know how to use gears and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, well, what is it? And he explained, and he said, oh, it's a swim, and then it's a mountain bike ride, and then it's a trail run. I was like, okay, well, I don't have a mountain bike, and I guess I better do it as well. So we got home. I did a bit of research, found a really good little mountain bike on Marketplace, and I signed up as well, but I signed up for the sprint, which was slightly shorter. So it's just a 750 swim, a 10K ride, and I think it was like a 3.5K run. And I think we had a couple of weeks to train, and then we did it. It was up here on the Sunshine Coast through Into Adventure, who run most of the off-road tries really in Australia, because we don't have that many people that put them on. But it was epic. It was so much fun. Like I just did it, and I loved it. I was so competitive, and I got on the bike, and I had a shocker on the bike. I broke like my derailleur off the back with about a quarter of the bike leg to go. Like it literally snapped. It was dragging on the ground because I'd got a stick
No.
caught in it and kept riding. And I started crying. Like I was so devastated because I just put so much effort into this race and I really wanted to finish it. So it's
Yeah.
like picked my bike up and I just started running, and because the wheel wouldn't move, I just had to drag it along, and I ran my bike back to transition. I think it must have been maybe, I don't know, 800 meters or something. It wasn't super far, but it was far enough.
Yeah.
And then started the run, and then I ended up finished the run, and I was really proud of myself for, you know, getting through that moment. And I ended up winning my age group. There wasn't anyone else in my age group. I didn't know that at the time. And I remember I was so emotional. Like I was like, oh my God, I called my mum. I was like, Mum, I won. I was like in shock because I'd never raced anyone other than the people who I used to compete against in Cobar, which was mainly guys. Not many girls were doing triathlons there. And yeah, that was pretty much the spark. And I think it was that moment in that race where I decided, like, oh, like I've got something in me. Like, yeah, that was gritty. Like I could have easily just given up and thrown it in, but I really wanted to finish, and I liked that, and it was a good feeling. And I just sort of got addicted.
Triathlon's like that, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. I didn't realise how addicting the journey is, you know, to self-improvement and improving in the sport. And then, yeah, we signed up for the standard triathlon, which was going to be the next race. So that's kind of like, it equates to like an Olympic triathlon on the road. Like it's the same sort of distances almost. And yeah, and that was going to be 3 months later in Port Stephens in New South Wales. And then we, sort of just started training a bit more and taking it a bit more seriously. And that was pretty much the race that like cemented, like, this is what I want to do. So
yeah. So for people who haven't heard about off-road tri, can you explain the difference from a road one to an off-road? Because as being a sport that's not even run in South Australia, it's really interesting to see the differences.
So the swim's pretty similar. I'll just compare it to a standard triathlon.
Yeah.
So a standard road triathlon or Olympic tri is a 1,500 metre swim, the 40K road ride, and then a 10-kilometre run. And for off-road tri, the swim's normally the same distance. It's either 1,500 or 1K, and it's completed in either like a dam, a lake, a river, or an ocean. And then next is a 30-kilometre mountain bike ride. So the distances do differ from race to race depending on how technical the course can be. So 30-kilometre mountain bike ride, and then you finish with like a 10K trail run. So it's slightly shorter in the distance sometimes. It's not always the same, but the courses are all quite different from each other. So some courses are a little bit more single track, so what you would expect if you were going to like mountain bike trails. Other courses are a lot more fire roads, so really steep, lots of climbing, so it really burns the legs. And then other courses can be a mix of everything. It really changes depending on where the race is held. So that's pretty much the main difference between the two sort of sports. Personally, and there might be an unpopular opinion, but I definitely find it a lot harder than road triathlon. Mainly because, especially in the mountain bike, you have to be so mentally aware of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. It can be so, you get in a bit of a zone on the road when you're riding hard and stuff. But on the mountain bike, like, your legs are on fire, your arms are hurting, like everything's hurting, and then your brain, like, you've got to stay focused and controlled, because when you lose that focus, you can make a mistake. And especially when you're racing really hard, it's extra important to have that mental clarity as well.
And especially the animals running across the course, like you've spoken about on your Instagram.
Yeah. I've had quite a few animal encounters. Had water buffaloes in front of me in Taiwan. That was pretty crazy. Descending and just buffaloes running in front of me. Oh my god! And that adds a lot. Adds a lot of elements to the race, that's for sure, compared to just riding on the good old tarmac.
So from that first race, what happened in between there and getting your pro card?
So basically when I did that first like standard distance race, we sort of, Luke and I had been sort of listening to a few podcasts, and we were like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And what we were trying to do was get as much information as we could about the sport. So we started to learn who were like sort of the professionals in Australia, and we had heard a little bit about this lady and this man called Jackie and Ben Allen, and they seemed to be like, you know, they were like the role models for the sport in Australia in a way. They were icons. And so I did the race, and I'd actually met Jackie after the race. She was there as well, and I didn't know it was her at the time. She was just super friendly and kind, and I was chatting to her about the race, and then Luke said to me after, oh, do you know that was Jackie Allen? And I was like, oh my God, like you didn't tell me that beforehand.
So compared to on-road triathlon, she's like the Lucy Charles Barclay of the off-road.
Yeah, I'm going to call her that. But I don't know. I don't know if she would say that, but no, she's just a really good person and a really good competitor, and she's been doing it for quite a long time. So yeah, she's pretty awesome. And she runs her own coaching business called B&J Racing. So after the race, we found out that the World Multisport Championships for like cross triathlon, so that's what off-road tri is called in like the world triathlon realm, were going to be held in Ibiza the following year. And Luke and I were like, oh, Ibiza, like, that would be sick. Imagine going over there and doing a race. Like, how cool. Because not many people go to Ibiza to race. And
yeah, it's more of a party destination.
yeah, so it was a bit unique. But we just were like, let's do it. Like, why not? What do we have to do? And we looked at the qualifying races and the points and how you could do it. And if you went to the Australian Championships, you had to place top 5 in your age group to automatically qualify to race at the World Champs. And they were going to be held in October that year on the sunny coast. So we're like, oh, we could train for that and we could aim for it. So reached out to Jackie. We got on board with her. She took us under her wing and basically just went all in, learnt as much as we could about triathlon, did our first proper like Olympic road races, like Olympic triathlons, did another off-road try, and then got to Australian champs up here in October, and I ended up winning the overall female, so that was pretty special. Luke won his age group as well, which is amazing. So we both got our ticket to Worlds, and just kept pushing, kept working towards that. Went to Ibiza, did the race. I won my age group, and then I was 4th overall in the age group women. So that was pretty special. And then I sort of I'd been toying with the idea, like I wanted to sort of go further in the sport because there wasn't many girls who were racing in my age group. So I never felt like I had, I'm not going to say I didn't feel like I had competition. There wasn't competition. There was no one else to race against. So I would constantly just have to see where I would place amongst everyone that was racing. And I'm like, well, what's the point racing age group? Like, why don't I what if I stepped up into the elite category and then I've actually got some girls to like race against and to really push myself. And so basically after World Champs, that was the plan, to get my license. And there's a governing body who sort of I guess throughout the world, that's what off-road tri is best known as, and that's called Xterra. So I guess you could think of them as like the Ironman brand of like off-road triathlon. They run races all around the world. They've got their own world championship race every year. It's a big deal. It's a whole other world. So we decided to go and do an Xterra race in Portugal after Ibiza. And so raced over there, did really well. It was really scary, really, really, really different to anything I'd ever ridden on or raced before. I ended up placing 8th overall, including the elites, and won once again, like the overall age group category, which was really cool. And that was pretty much it. I think after that, I just went, nah, like, I love this. I want to get better. Like, let's go. So, yeah, started to do a lot more mountain bike racing to improve the bike leg. And then later in 2023, did Australian champs in August up in Townsville, and I had a really good race and placed third in the elites against Maeve Kennedy, who won, and Kate Bramley. And Kate was only, I think she was 8 seconds ahead of me across the line. So
Wow.
I'd sort of proven, I guess, in a way that I could race against some of the top girls that we have in Australia. And then I applied for my elite license, and then I was accepted by both Xterra and Oz Triathlon. And yeah, that's pretty much that's how it went, basically.
Crazy. How do you find, what's the major differences in between racing in Australia and overseas, other than having to pick your bike up?
Yeah, definitely the fields. We still don't have huge fields in the women, like, in off-road triathlon. Like, it's still a developing sport. It's still emerging.
Well, like I said, we don't even have races in SA. Like, it would be such a perfect location for it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Western Australia have got now Xterra Australia, which is really cool. So that's great for the people on that side of Australia. But then it's so far for them to come race, you know. And Victoria, I think, might have one or two, but most of them are in the Snowies, New South Wales and Queensland. So that's definitely got a lot to do with it. Triathlon is only ever really, I mean, you speak about triathlon, people just think swim, bike, run, road. Like, no one thinks. And it is hard. It's a hard sport. And I think that's why a lot of people haven't quite got into it yet, because they might be a bit scared, or they're unsure, or it is just too difficult. But yeah, so that's, I guess, why the fields are a bit smaller in Australia. And then when you race overseas, like, especially this year, I started racing elites, and I went over to Taiwan and raced some of the best ladies we have in the sport, and they are so strong. Like, it was big,
I actually watched
big.
the stream for that. That was insane.
Yeah, it was so hard. It was such a brutal course. I think the courses overseas are very, they're very varied, and they're a lot more difficult than what we've got here in Australia. It makes it seem quite tame in a way, just because we don't have, I guess, that infrastructure and that terrain over here. So that's a big thing. Every area is quite different. Like, Taiwan was hot, dry, dusty, steep, and then, like, I raced Xterra Rotorua, and it was beautiful, like, groomed single track, awesome, like, sticky dirt. It was just incredible. But it was just different in its own way. They were both amazing, but both provided their own unique challenges, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that, I guess, is different.
Yeah, that was probably what I reckon the first off-road tri I've ever watched, honestly. If you weren't racing it, I probably wouldn't have watched it, but I was watching it before you.
Yeah.
But, like, incredible, like, how technical such a event is, like, coming from, like, I'm obviously a road triathlete, but yeah, like, the whole, the swim, obviously it was pretty much the same, especially with, like, your Australian, like, 750, like, 2 laps of 750, like, they do that in so many events. But as soon as you got off that bike and went through the back streets and then up to the hill, and then going through the riverbed, I was like, oh, that's amazing.
It just doesn't even, like, I think that the live stream for that race, and because we were sort of promoting it and trying to push it, and Xterra doing such a great job of their media coverage, so they're live streaming every single World Cup stop this year, which is phenomenal, like, so good for the sport. But just putting it out there, and I had friends from back in Cobar that sat there and watched the whole race.
Yeah.
Like, and I was only in it for, like, maybe 5 seconds. Yeah,
I think that's there and most of the men's just to keep watching, the women's to watch the field. But, like, they made the video so well. You were going up through, like, tiny tracks, and they had guys on e-bikes following, like, the leading packs, and I was like, how are they focusing on riding, recording, and not trying to fall off? Like, obviously the e-bike is helping the videographers, but still insane. I think they even had
Yeah.
drones as well.
Yeah, they had drones. They had like one of the guys, Landry, was like with his camera just like running after you and chasing, like just so he could. Oh, it was just so cool, and they're so passionate about it, and that's what I love about the sport. They're
Yeah.
just really promoting it and just trying to get the word out there. And they've also followed like Ironman in. I don't know if they've followed Ironman or how it I guess all works, but we've got now sort of similar. So you've got your World Cup ranking. There's 7 World Cup stops in the year. You've got to complete 2 of the continental cups, like 2 out of 3. So there's one in America, the one that's just been Asia Pacific in Taiwan, and then one in Europe. But yes, as an elite athlete, you have to do 2 of those to be able to be eligible for a bonus at the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you are in that top sort of ranking. So that's made people more motivated to travel around and do more of the races and, giving, I guess, you more of an incentive to earn a bit more prize money and make this and just help out a little bit more financially, which is really cool.
What else was really good? The commentary. In sports like that, the commentary can be very hit and miss. Like it can be on Ironman events, commentary can be terrible sometimes. But watching that, it was so interesting what the commentators were saying. They were talking like through the race, through all the athletes, and they like knew a lot about all the athletes as well. It was really cool. Like they actually had done their research.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, and I guess it helps in a way too, being a smaller sport. Like it is a lot more intimate, so you do get to know people a lot better and know their story and stuff. And we'd done a lot of like watching YouTube on the girls that I was racing against, and obviously follow a lot of them on social media and just hearing their stories and who they are and what they've done. And yeah, it's really cool. It's really inspiring. So it's just good that they're promoting it and they're doing so well with their media coverage.
Yeah. So talking about Taiwan, that happened, was it a month ago now?
Yeah.
All right, let's do a bit of a race debrief on that one. So how long before that event did you get over there to acclimatise to it?
We arrived on, I think nearly a week before, about 6 days. So yeah, we hired a car, we flew into Taipei at the top and had to drive south. I think it was about a 5-hour drive to get to Kenting where the race was held down on the south coast. And yeah, it was a really awesome country. Like we loved it. The beach was amazing. Like there was coral reef out there and turtles and stuff where the swim sort of course was held, which was awesome. And yeah, we just like did a bit of training, just did one recce of the run because the run was incredibly hilly and brutal. So I think any more might have taken it out of me too much. And then rode the course once, and it was like overwhelming how hard it was. And there was parts like that were really steep and slippery on the descent that the first few times I just sort of skated my bike down. I didn't even want to ride it because I didn't want to risk falling off. And the first course recce we did out there, it was so windy. I got like blown off my bike. Like I had to like unclip and put my foot down because it was just you had to hold your bike so firmly because it was trying to fly away with the wind. It was nuts. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, and then did another bike recce. I think it was the following day with Jackie and Ben, so my coach. So she was racing as well, and her husband Ben, and felt like a little bit better on the bike course, so had a bit more confidence. So I think the more you ride it, obviously, the better you feel, which was good. And wasn't too sure how the swim would go because I'd spent a bit of time out of the water prior because I had an injury. I just had 2 bike accidents and I had stitches, and then I'd thought I broke my elbow, so that was a bit hectic, a bit emotional.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that just put my swimming really behind. I felt like I'd been swimming really well prior to that, so I didn't have much confidence there. But so got out there, did the race. It's pretty hard when you're last out of the water. Like you're just so far behind the front of the group. but I just tried to stay positive and thought, you never know what can happen on the bike. You just can't give up. So, got out onto the bike and managed to make up 2 places within like the first 5 kilometres of the bike leg, which was really good. Made me
That was all the
feel.
back roads right before you got onto the trail?
Yeah, I caught the girl ahead of me on the back road, like on the bitumen, and then I caught the next girl, who was also the girl vying for the Asia Pacific champ title. She was just out of the riverbed. We were going up like a climb, and I got her on the climb. So
The back
yeah,
roads
just
there look so much like Bali. It was crazy.
yeah, they really do. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And then just the bike was extremely tough. I just tried to ride a lot smoother and just try not to waste too much energy. There was a lot of times where I had to just get off and run up the hills because I had no traction and I had nothing left in the legs to push.
Was everybody doing
a lot
that
of
too?
a lot of people were, yeah. And then a lot of the descents that I was too scared to do previously, I actually did in the race. I felt a lot more confident and I just sort of went for it, which was really cool. And then I got onto the run and I sort of knew I was in 8th place. So I was pretty happy. I was like, okay, 8th place in a field like this isn't too bad. And then I thought, maybe I can make up some time on the run because that's normally my strength. And it was just, I remember like going out onto my first lap of the run and Selene, who was the overall female winner, she was starting her second lap and I was like, wow, like I'm what?
She was really
5.5. She is amazing. I was like 6 Ks behind her. I was like, God, this is
She was
such a
the
reality
Italian
check.
girl, right?
Pardon?
The Italian girl?
That was Marta. She ended up placing 3rd, but she's phenomenal too. Yeah. So it was just really cool to see those girls and see how strong they are and I guess see where I want to be and sort of what I have to do and how hard I have to work to get to that level. I think it's easy to be a bit down on yourself. I mean, I put a lot of pressure on myself and I sort of thought maybe I would place a little bit higher. I don't know why, but I just thought in my training, I'd been training really well and I felt really good and I thought I'd put on more of a performance. But I had a bit of reality check and it was quite humbling. And, I've only been doing the sport for I literally only started my first ever off-road tri 2 years ago. So I had to give myself a little bit of credit. But yeah, it was nice to take home the Asia Pacific champ title.
Explain that. So obviously the girls in front of you all from Europe.
Yeah.
And so how many other girls from Asia Pacific were racing as well?
Well, Jackie was there, but she races for Great Britain, so she didn't actually count towards that, which I was lucky for. Because she came in, I think she was 6 overall. And then a girl named Cherry from Hong Kong. She was the only other girl vying for it. So yeah, it was at least there was one other person, which was nice. But no, it was pretty cool. It was pretty special, and I guess you can only race who's there. Like you can't think of it like, there was only one other girl or blah blah blah. It does because it takes away from the achievement, and it also takes away the achievement of the other people that are racing. Like everyone's just there doing the best that they possibly can, and that's all I went out and did, and I was pretty happy to come away with that. So that was good.
Yeah, because I said it when you came across the line, but they didn't really explain like what you'd won. But obviously it made sense that there was only a couple of you from the Asia Pacific. So the points of that, what races are next included?
So a lot of the girls, so the next stop will be Greece. And then I think there's like one in the Czech Republic, one in the States somewhere. There's a couple of more races dotted around. And then the world champs for Xterra this year will be in Italy again for the last year.
And so which ones of those are you going to do?
I won't, unfortunately, do any. I can't afford it this year. It's pretty expensive sport. So no, we made the decision to just do Taiwan this year because it was closer to home, and then just complete the rest of the races in Oceania. So after Taiwan, we flew home for 2 days and then flew over to New Zealand.
Did you even bother
And
unpacking your bike, or did you just leave it in the bag?
nah, just left it. But we had to get like warmer clothes, so
Yeah.
we just thought we'd come home, and that was actually really nice. Just come home for Easter, which was good, and then flew over to New Zealand, raced Xterra Rotorua last weekend, and then tomorrow night I'll fly to Western Australia and I'll do Xterra Australia in Dunsborough, which will be the last race of this. This.
Oh yeah, like Dunsborough, just down the road from Bussey, because I've been looking at accommodation, and it's around the corner.
Yeah. So it should be good. I've never been there, so I'm really excited to go and check it out.
Yeah, neither have I, but I've heard it's a lovely place. So that race is next weekend. Is there a live stream for that as well?
No, so they don't live stream only the World Cup stops, unfortunately. Yeah.
I just told them you've got like a fan crew following you around now. We need a live stream. Just bring your own camera people.
I know. They do they're pretty good on their socials. I think they do a few live updates like on their stories and stuff. So normally that's the best way to sort of follow along. But it should be a good race. I'm pretty excited for Xterra Australia. This has sort of been the one that I've been, I guess, working towards the most. It's like a bit of an A race for me for the year. Hopefully we have a good hit out there and have a safe and a hard race. So
and
exciting.
Then going to New Zealand, how did you go with a colder race?
Yeah, really good actually. It's actually amazing. Like if you're going to do an Xterra, I would 100% go over and do Rotorua. It was so awesome. Like the swim was in the lake and the lake was absolutely freezing. I just had to wear 2 swimming caps just to keep my head warm. But they actually don't start the race until 20 to 11 in the morning.
Right.
So it was epic. Like I didn't have to be at the race venue till like 8 a.m. and it was all super chill, and it didn't warm up until 9 a.m. So it was freezing up until that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like on the bike, it was a really nice temperature. It wasn't that hot. Like I definitely had a lot less fluid than I would normally need, and the run was really nice. It was quite shaded for majority of it as well. So yeah, it was actually really nice temperature.
And then the differences between both races, I noticed there's like no aid stations. So do you pretty much just have to carry whatever you can carry on your back and bike in terms for the bike and run?
So on the rate there were aid stations, but the difference was like in Taiwan there was no reusable cups, so you had to bring your own like water bottle or hydration to be able to be refilled if you needed it, which was cool. And actually they had a few aid. They didn't really show them on the live stream, but they actually had quite a few on the bike course, and I think they had 2 on the run course, one at the start, one at the finish of the lap, which was really good. But yeah, on the run in Taiwan for the first time ever, like I had to actually carry hydration and fluids with me, which I certainly needed because it was super, super, super hot. And then in Rotorua, I don't remember there being an aid station on the bike, but there was one on the run. So and you could actually have like cups and stuff there, which was really nice. Because I hate running. I hate having to run with something. So yeah, it is quite cool. But yeah, it just depends on the race. Like if it's a really technical course or if it's a really long hot course, I'll take like a Camelback anyway, just because it's easier to get fluids in. Otherwise I won't drink. And then most other races I'll just take a bottle on the bike and just sort of sit on that throughout when I can.
And are you just putting water in there, or are you putting anything else mixed in?
No, I put Precision Hydration. I've got like a carb and electrolyte mix. And I've been using their product since like the start of the year, and it's the best thing I've ever used. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way, but if you're listening, feel free to reach out. I used to cramp a lot on the bike. I'd start cramping on the bike, and then when I got to the run, I'd have to stop, and it was so frustrating. And then ever since I've started racing, I've been fueling a lot better. And then having the carbs obviously means I get that nutrition in, and the electrolytes, I sweat quite a lot, so it's really handy. So I just put like normally 4 to 6 scoops of that in my bottle and just have that throughout the ride.
Yeah, definitely makes it a lot easier than try to put a gel in where you obviously can't while you're trail riding. And then trying to do that, you already focus too much on the run. So it's probably better to have
Yeah.
it in a liquid form anyway.
Yeah, I still I take their gels as well. I find their gels very easy to take on board. Like I used to use Morton before that, and just I couldn't. Oh, I just felt like I had to chew it. I couldn't quite swallow it. But
Yeah.
their stuff's quite like it's not. It's like a syrup.
Mm.
It's almost like golden syrup in a way, and it's just very easy to like. You can have a bit, and it's like it just goes down. I don't feel like I'm choking, and I need water after every gulp. Like it's a really nice texture and taste. So
I had one of
yeah,
those on my 10K run the other day, and I was like, oh, I know I was probably aiming for about an hour 20. So I was like, oh, like I've only really just started running this year, so I wasn't rushing, hadn't done the
yeah,
course before. I was like, oh, I took it, I reckon it was about just after the 35-minute mark. It was pretty much halfway because we were just about to turn around at the 5K mark. Anyway, I was like
yeah.
looking at my time on the way back, and it was literally 10 seconds quicker per K after having that gel.
Yeah, it's a nice
Crazy.
little pick me up. I think
Yeah.
mentally too, like especially when you have a calf gel, you're like, okay, I've had some caffeine, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
it's just topping up the energy stores, and it's such a game changer when you understand your nutrition and you start to feel a lot better when you race. Like you not only feel better in the race, but you feel better afterwards as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, crazy, hey. After you're racing Perth, then what's next for next year? Are you going to go onto the world stage a little bit more?
Yeah, so we'll focus on this year first. So I'll have a small break after Dunsborough, after Xterra Australia and
Because when does
biathlon,
the
and
season kind of start, and is it similar to triathlon? Like road triathlon?
yeah, kind of, but the European season runs through our winter,
Of course, yeah.
and I guess that's their main season. So, but we've got the multisport world championships in Townsville in August. So that's the I guess that's the biggest race of the year. So that's what I'm just going to be putting all my focus on, because I'll be racing the cross triathlon and the cross duathlon in the elite category this year, which is
Yep. How
which is pretty
exciting.
exciting to represent Australia as an elite. So I'm really, really keen for that, and I really, really love the course. We already raced on it at Australian Champs last year, and it was really fun and exciting. So yeah, I'll just do a few more mountain bike races in the winter. Just head down, bum up, just focus, just train, and just try and do everything that I possibly can to have my best performance in Townsville. And then our Oceania season starts with Tahiti in October, Xterra Tahiti.
Oh, fun.
Um, yeah, so it could possibly be on the cards. We're still trying to work it out and see how much it might sort of cost. But um, I could start the season with that, and then yeah, the plan is next year to head over to Europe for a couple of months and try and race more of the World Cup stops. And hopefully they might even have a few more World Cup stops in this area next year, which would really help us Aussies and people down here out without having to travel so far.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that would be the plan ideally, and then race the World Championships, go for the bonus at the end of the year, and just continue to build up that experience and that race experience.
Where would you base yourself if you went to Europe next year?
Probably Spain somewhere, I think.
Yeah,
Haven't gotten that far or thought that far ahead, but
I heard
yeah,
that's where
we've
like a
got some
lot of
good.
athletes like to base themselves because of the weather is so good, and also I've heard the hills and the
Yeah,
trails are really good there.
exactly. So yeah, anywhere that they've got good mountain biking and a bit of a mixture of everything, and somewhere sort of generally feel safe, I guess, nowhere too busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked Ibiza actually. It was a great place to sort of base yourself when we were over there training for the world champs. But yeah, we'll sort of see. We'll think about that closer to the date. Obviously, it's going to be quite costly, so
Yeah.
we'll have to figure out the most cost efficient way to get over and do it. But
So
I think it's just important to do.
yeah, so at the moment, what's your
If
like weekly training schedule looking like?
So I try and swim every day normally. So I do as many squad sessions as I can, because I feel like those sessions are the ones where I get the most out of, because I'm pushing harder and I get that instant technique feedback,
Yeah.
which I don't otherwise get, because Jackie, we sort of do long distance. So she's based in Wollongong. So just from that group training mentality as well, like you feel a bit more motivated and you push yourself a bit harder, because swimming's by far my weakest leg, so it's the thing I need to work the most on. And then throw in a long trail run, an easy run, and then something with a bit more like tempo, a bit more speed work. It could just be a single session, or it might be like a run off the bike, like a brick session, which is one of my favourites. And then weekends is just long endurance rides. I try and get into the hinterland up here on the Sunshine Coast as much as I can, because it's like A, stunning, and B, really good for your strength work. And then strength and conditioning. That's a really, really important part of my week, and I try and do at least 3 sessions a week just to stay strong and mobile, and I think it's really critical when you're doing off
a gym too.
Yeah. So really lucky this year to have the Culture gym up here. They're based in Warana on the Sunshine Coast, which is not too far from home. So yeah, they're amazing. They're extremely talented, and like Dylan and Jess who run it, they're really knowledgeable and super passionate about just coaching and just helping people achieve their best. And they've got a really great facility. So super lucky to have the opportunity to use that facility to train. They just let me go in, and I'm able to use it sort of like when I need to, which is really, really cool. So that's been a really big help, because also it can be quite, like, gyms can be quite expensive sometimes if you want a good one. But like, it's not just about, I guess, that side of thing. It's also the community, like just having people supporting you, and I know if I ever need anything, like I'll throw an eye over my technique and my form, and always give me like hints and tips and tricks. So yeah, that's so a really valuable part of my week.
So in terms of your equipment, are you riding on the road, have a road bike as well as your mountain bike as well?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So I don't have I've got an old road bike I don't really ride at the moment, but I have a TT bike, because I was doing a few 70.3s last year. So yeah, I was just riding my TT bike for every sort of road session, whether it be hills, group rides, solo rides, easy, whatever it was. And I really liked it, but I'm actually just finding that I don't think my position transfers over to like being on the mountain bike as much. So I do a few mountain bike, like road rides on my mountain bike as well, just to get that speed up on the flats, and a bit more power. And then I do a lot of sort of fun sessions in the trails, a bit of technique work and a bit of skill. So having the 2 bikes is really helps
with the
training.
Partner training alongside you as well? Is he still wanting to go as far as you are, or is he just your training buddy now?
Yeah, no, he's awesome. He's a very, very strong athlete. He's actually like one of my biggest inspirations, to be honest. He's just he does everything right. Like, he's really big on his stretching and his strength, and he's a really, really, really good swimmer. So yeah, he always gives me like really good feedback and technique, even when I don't really want it. But he's amazing. So he does work away though. Obviously, he works really hard to help us have this amazing life. And he's got a fantastic job that he loves. So he does like his time on, time off still, works down in Sydney, and then I'm up here on the Sunshine Coast, and then if I get time, I'll go down and visit him, and vice versa. So when we're together, we train, but a lot of this time has actually been spent apart, so we haven't been spending a lot of time training together. But yeah, he's been amazing and I think it's definitely made me a better rider just having him there, because I obviously try and keep up with him. So that we're very competitive with each other, which is good and bad. But unfortunately, he's got a hip injury that he's been sort of battling for quite a while, and it has affected his ability to run. So he's sort of been focusing a bit more on the riding and the swimming. And yeah, when we go to these races, he's been doing either team events or just the mountain bike racing. So yeah, that's pretty heartbreaking for him, because he was doing extremely well. So hopefully with a bit of treatment, yeah, he can sort of get back to hopefully being able to run again very soon.
Yeah, right. So, big news time. We have a big brand new sponsor for the Wellness League podcast. So, can you guess who it is?
Hi, I'm Lana from Live and Breathe Active, or LAB, a small family-run business run by a group of passionate people that, well, we live and breathe this shit. Whether it's run, swim, cycle, or try, we make gear to get you through those tough training sessions. We help you get up before sunrise, and we will still be there with you well after sunset. You will see us before you hear us, with bespoke prints designed by artists just for you. We are driven by our values and are focused on performance and community. And we are super proud to be partnering with the Wellness League podcast in the Try series. Find out more or shop online at liveandbreatheactive.com. We can't wait to have you as part of the crew.
How good is that, hey? Discount codes and the link will be in the bio. But you know what? Let's go back to the pod. So, talking about your sponsors, we have a bit of a mutual friend called Live and Breathe. And they, the suit that you raced in, or racing in still, have a chat about who you're sponsored by at the moment.
Yeah, so Lana and Andy from Live and Breathe Active, they're my biggest sponsors at the moment. So they've been really, really awesome to work with. And they provide me with my race kit and all my training gear, which is phenomenal. Plus, like, they have such a fantastic community as well. Like, so you just sort of feel like you're part of something much more than triathlon. Like, it's like a family, which is really nice. Then I've got a local bike shop up here, Peddler. They're based at Golden Beach, and Ailey and Ben, who own the bike shop, have believed in me from the start. I met Ailey when I was getting my first bike fit on my road bike, actually, and yeah, we just clicked instantly, and we've been friends ever since. Ailey's also a triathlon coach up here and has quite a few athletes, so she's a bit of a mentor for me. Obviously Jackie's not here all the time to watch me and stuff, so Ailey will help out sometimes, and I think it's really nice to have that. She's just such a good person, and yeah, they help me get bikes and they look after my gear, make sure everything's always running smoothly, and they've really opened up a lot of doors for me, so that's been great. And then I've got KWT Imports, which is like a bike component company in Australia, and they've got lots of awesome gear that I use on my mountain bike and my road bike. So in particular, Magic Shine are bike lights. They sponsor me, and Maxxis tyres as well. I use their tyres when I race. Yeah, that's a pretty big one. And then the Culture Gym have just come on board as well, with the facility that I train at. So yeah, very lucky to have some good sponsors. Very particular in who I have, like, as part of my team, because I think that's really critical.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want people that are stayers, sort of thing. If it's product, like, I really only use product that I really believe in, because I don't think I can be authentic enough to promote anything that I don't trust or that I don't use and really love. So yeah, it's great to have those guys on board, and I feel really, really lucky.
So coming back from the bike chat, I noticed on your Instagram there's quite an importance to keeping your bikes clean.
yeah. Very, very, very anal about it. Pardon?
I said, what's the best way to keep your bikes clean?
Just wash it whenever you ride it and it gets dirty. Give it some love and attention. My bike's like my child, my only child. And no, I hate dirty chains, and I hate the grinding noise in your chain when you pedal. And I love my bike looking clean. Like, it just makes me feel so good. It makes me race good. It just makes me trust my bike more. Like, you know, when you clean it, you can see if anything's wrong with it, or it's your workhorse. You've got to look after it, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So last night the T100 was on. I saw you were watching it as well. What did you think of the race?
Incredible. Like, to see Ash do what she did in that run last night was so inspiring. I think everyone was just on the edge of their seat, just waiting for that pass to happen, and just to like pray that, you know, she's going to make it to the finish line.
She was 30 seconds per kilometre faster than Lucy was running.
Oh, jeez, yeah, it was just absolutely amazing and so motivating. I think everyone probably felt like jumping off and going for a run the next morning after watching her do what she did. But yeah, I just think it's amazing for women, not only women's sport but triathlon in general. Just the coverage, the promotion, the way that they're really I guess creating stories out of the athletes and these races. It just makes you feel more connected to it. And yeah, I would never in my life thought that I would be sitting down watching triathlon for 3 hours at a time, but here I am, and I love it, and I don't have any regrets, and I'm not ashamed.
That they had in Singapore last year because she won it as well. But watching her
it was the same distance.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, yeah, I watched that event last year, and her being able to back up 2 years in a row was crazy. The weather looks so hot and humid being Singapore, but when they kept bringing up the code saying you could sign up for next year as an age group athlete, I actually sent it to a friend. I was like, it's very tempting to go.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome. It'd be such a good atmosphere. We were actually in Ibiza when they had the European champs there last year. Like, we were there because it was only it was the day after we raced the world champs. So we watched it, and oh my goodness, it was so emotional and so amazing to watch. Like, just so cool.
The swim and the run look amazing. It's just that bike course going over the bridge. I've actually been to Singapore, and I know which bridge they were going over. That looked hectic. Like, even some of the pros, their heart rate was like maxing out trying to go over that bridge. But yeah, it was nice.
It was pretty insane.
Yeah, they were just saying how hot it is because of where they were riding and running, being surrounded by buildings. It just made it so much hotter. And then also Jack was commentating and saying that, like, thunder and lightning was literally 15 k's away, and if it came within like the next 2 kilometres closer, they were going to have to stop the race.
Yeah, imagine that. That would have been so heartbreaking.
What did Ellie Salthouse end up finishing? Was it 8th?
I think she got 10th, which is so good. She held on to 10th place. I'm pretty sure she was running, which is amazing because you can so easily. She had a cracking race. I'm so stoked for her. Like, I remember seeing her at Ibiza last year after the race, and she was really gutted with her performance, and we thought she'd done amazing. Like, we were like so in awe of it. But yeah, she's just so strong. It's really incredible to see.
It was so nice to see the T100 becoming so much more of a pro sport this year, and really highlighting the women's side. Like, I think the men's side's on today, and I probably won't even watch it because the women's were just so exciting last night.
Oh, I'll watch the men's because I really like.
Maybe I'll watch it while I edit the podcast. But,
there's so many stories within the men's race as well that are like Sam Long and just like and a couple of Aussies in there, and it's just like Daniel Backergaard. I have a very big soft spot for him, so it's just it's awesome. Yeah, definitely watch it.
They will extend it to an Australian race in the lineup next year. There is quite a lot in Europe and America.
I hope so. I think it would be really nice. Like, imagine having it in Noosa or somewhere like that. Like, how cool would that be? You know, they've got the world multi-sport, like long course champs in Townsville in the same sort of festival. So, and that's what they did
Yeah.
with Ibiza last year. They used the same course. So
Oh,
I
cool.
don't see why they shouldn't. Like, it would be so awesome to have one here. I mean, I think so many people would get behind it. You just look at how many people get behind Noosa sort of every year. And if it was in a location that was, accessible and somewhere that like supported tourism as well, that would be really cool. So
They
fingers
should bring
crossed.
it to SA.
Yeah, they
we
should.
actually don't have an
Exactly.
Ironman race here.
Oh, you poor guys miss out on everything.
Yeah, I think we're the only state other than like Darwin that doesn't have an Ironman race, because even Tassie has a 70.3 race now. Or a full, I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we don't have one. Anyway. Was there a point in your life where you've had a sliding door moment and it's kind of taken your life for a turn left or right to where you are now?
I'm going to say meeting Luke, or like, I guess, deciding to make that move back to Australia to be with him. Like, he's changed my life in so many different positive ways. He's just opened my eyes to like a whole new world. Like where we live now on the Sunshine Coast, I'd never been up here until I met him, because his family lives up here. That alone, that was awesome. Like, when I moved back to Australia, I was a bit insecure and a bit overwhelmed. Like, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was so lost, because I was a dive instructor and like I'd been looked after for so long, and then I had to sort of find out who I was again in a way. And so, just going through the motions and just having him there and having his support through all that was just incredible. And he's just the most fun human I've ever met. Like, he just sees the good in everything. He just loves life. Like, he's amazing. I'm like, he's my partner, but I'm sure a lot of people that know him would agree. So I think meeting him and just what he's brought to my life, and then creating this life together, has been definitely the most pivotal moment. And then now, like, finding triathlon was a really big thing as well. I think just having that community and just having that drive and that motivation, like, I guess it sort of helped me find who I was in a way, and find parts of me that I didn't really know were there. Like, so that's been pretty life-changing.
If Luke's got any friends that are similar, can you send them this way?
Yeah, definitely. I'll ask him.
Scout me out a Luke 2.0, please.
Yeah, no worries.
Is there anything else you want to add before we get on to the fun part?
I just think, like, if there's anyone out there that's thinking of getting into off-road triathlon, like, reach out, give it a go. Just sign up. It doesn't have to be the standard race. Start with the sprint, see if you like it, borrow a friend's mountain bike. Like, you don't have to go in to your first race and go all in. Like, you don't need clip-ins on the mountain bike. You can get away with just wearing your runners. You don't need a triathlon suit. You don't need any of the fancy gear that you see to begin. You just have to start. The rest will come. Like, I did my first few races. I didn't wear clip-ins until like my first proper race at the Australian Champs. Like, I'd never worn clip-ins. I was so scared. And then I got more comfortable. And the more comfortable you get, the easier it gets. And I think it's just a sport that will bring so much richness to your life, because it's all about being out in nature. It's about protecting the environment and having fun and learning something every time you go out for a ride. Like, you just never stop learning. And it's one of the best sports you can do. So definitely look up Xterra, or look up Into Adventure, or Rapid Ascent, any of the adventure companies that we have in Australia, and just sign up.
You heard it here, guys. Hannah needs some people to race against in Australia. So
I would just love to see more girls getting into it. It would be really, really cool.
Yeah. What are you consuming at the moment in terms of podcasts, TV shows, books?
Podcasts, I really like, I guess like everyone in triathlon world, the Triathlon Hour with Jack Kelly. I really like his Chase Pack and the Breadwinner episodes. I find them really funny and really insightful. Hey?
I'm loving the one. Which one's the girl one? Is it the Chase Pack, the female one?
The breadwinners.
Breadwinners, yeah. I was listening to that.
Yeah.
I either listen to it when I'm doing my recovery sessions, or I listened to it on the way to the run last weekend, because it was like an hour and a half drive away, and it was so good. It's so interesting to hear how
It's
like
so
three girls from different parts of the world all train for the T100. It was really cool.
totally. No, it's so cool. I think it's just really nice, and I guess you can relate to it a bit more, especially like the chase pack. I find them very relatable. Like, they're very funny,
Yeah.
and really cool. And then another really good one that I love is that Triathlon Life with Paula Finlay and Eric. I just find it very raw, and Paula's very honest. But yeah, it's just they just are, like, the listener questions are really good and the answers are awesome, and I just really like them. So that's probably podcasts. Books, I just finished Ash Barty's book.
Cool.
I really like that one. That was really cool.
Did it go as far as
just
up to when she had a baby, or was it just before that?
No, just before that. So yeah, basically up to when she retired from tennis. But yeah, it talks a lot like about the mental side of training and being at that level, and yeah, she's really honest, and I found it really relatable, which was really cool. So definitely put on your list of things to read. What else? I mean,
and are you watching any
just
TV shows at the moment?
No, I don't really watch TV. I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, so do I. It's so much better. The only TV show I actually keep up with is like Grey's Anatomy. But other than that, I literally watch either like English soccer, like women's soccer or America, and then anything triathlon.
Same. Yeah. I watch quite a lot of mountain biking and surfing on YouTube, which is like, I don't know, it's just become such a platform for education at the moment. Like, I love all the different reviews people do, and then especially like through Xterra Planet, like their channel, they do a lot of good interviews with athletes and lots of really cool race recaps and
a good live stream as well.
And a good live stream that you can rewatch, so it's pretty cool. And then that's pretty much it.
A couple of listener questions. The 70.3 races, any tips for people training for them? May or may not be me.
I would say make sure you're doing like your easy runs easy. That's something that I've really learnt, especially when you're training with that much volume and it's such a long race. My biggest, I guess, my like scale of what I would consider easy has always been like, if I'm running and I don't have the energy to smile at someone passing by, I'm going far too hard. So back it up a touch and smile. And then within the race, just take it discipline by discipline. Don't think about the run when you're on the bike. Just be present, stay in the moment, and just trust yourself. Like, you'll get through it. And if you do have to walk on the run, just make sure every time you do, pick a spot where you're going to start running again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll just walk the whole thing. Like, I think that's really, really important. Like, you've got to get the most out of the race as you can possible. So utilize the aid stations, and then just remember why you're doing it. Remember why you started, and just think about how good it's going to feel when it's done.
Getting the medal around your neck at the end.
Yeah, and you get a towel. The towels are great. So
I'm looking forward to that. The next question was, what's your like carb load meal, and then what's your celebration finish meal?
Well, that's a good question. My carb load meals, it's actually my favourite part of racing, I'm not going to lie.
How many days do you carb load before a race?
Normally 2.5.
Yep.
And I'm very, very strict about it. Ask poor Luke, who sometimes likes to go out for a nice dinner or something. No, mate, we're not doing that. No, I have, a typical carb load day would be like a big bowl of cereal, normally Nutrigrain, and then like 4 pieces of toast. And then and the toast will have like jam on it, so lots of jam. And then I have like little fruit cups and cream rice with sultanas. And then lunch is just plain old shredded chicken and rice with a bit of Kewpie mayo. And then afternoons, like normally white, just everything white bread with banana and honey. And then dinner's the same as lunch. And then for late night, like I'll have a bowl of rice bubbles with a bit of honey. And I just repeat that process for a couple of days.
How did you go to like Taiwan and being able to stock all that kind of carbs before? Did you pack it?
It was, yeah, it was really tough. I've actually, I've just come on board with like a new nutritionist who I've been using. So my nutrition plan is from, I was with Simply Balanced Nutrition. Her name's Brooke Williams, and she's the one that got me, I guess, started with a proper plan, and I worked with her for quite a bit, and she's awesome. She's an Australian, like a track runner, and really lovely person. So she helped me understand it a lot. Then just recently I've moved on with Christy Robson from Multisport Nutrition, and we've sort of gone another level. Like she gives me weekly meal plans, looks at my training peaks and aligns everything up with like what training I'm doing, and I just like to be told what to eat and I'll just go and eat it. But yeah, we struggled a bit in Taiwan. Like she did so much research. She's like, there's McDonald's, there's 7-Eleven, you can get this, that. Like it was awesome. But we didn't have like a microwave in our room, which was like that, just something as simple as that, being able to get microwavable rice and just eat that, like that was sort of not possible. So yeah, I had to be a bit more flexible, and it actually stressed me out quite a bit. Just not being able to, I guess really understand what I was eating a lot of the time, and just when you're in a foreign country, it's all quite different. So we got through it, but it wasn't easy. New Zealand was a much smoother experience.
And then your post-race celebration, is it a beer or is it a good meal?
Yeah, there's normally a cheeky beer thrown in somewhere. Not straight away. Normally after. If it's a hot race, I love a slushie. Like, the more syrup, the better. That's amazing. And then, normally, like, I actually don't really, I'm pretty bad. I don't feel like food.
Yeah.
Straight away after a race, like I'll have like a Cliff Bar or something, but then later on I'll get like a wrap or normally like a burger or pizza or something like that. Just something salty and carby.
Yeah, that sounds like the perfect way to finish a race. All right, let's get started with the fun stuff.
It's a good treat.
It's called 5 Fast Questions. The numbers are in between number 1 and 20. So you say the number, and it's the first thing that comes to your mind in terms of the question. So what's your first number?
We'll go 4.
Okay, number 4 is something that you look forward to in the future.
The World Multisport Champs in Townsville.
Oh, good. Next number.
19.
Number 19. All right, since it's an Olympic year, if the Olympics were to call you up today and say you've got a spot in whatever sport, you're magically amazing at it, what sport are you doing?
The mountain bike, XCO.
Oh, good choice. Next number.
11.
11 is, as a kid, what job did you want?
Actually, I'd swapped. It was a vet, and then I wanted to be in the army, and then I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Okay, so not too far off kind of what you did.
Yeah, pretty similar.
You were in the water with the diving, so I guess you were close.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of marine biologists, so it kind of counted. I learned a lot.
All right, next number.
2.
Okay, number 2, coffee with somebody dead or alive. Who are you having it with?
Oh, that's a great question. You know who I would actually really like to have a coffee with? Kathy Freeman.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've been really like, I need to watch the documentary. I haven't seen it yet, but I think like reading Ash Barty's book, and I'd love to talk about her experience at the Olympics. I think that would be really, really interesting, actually.
Yeah. All right, last number.
1.
Okay, number 1 is your go-to song or artist to listen to.
Dom Dolla.
Isn't he on Xterra at the moment?
Yes, yeah. He is elite. Like, love it.
Have you seen him in person?
No, but I really want to. I just, like, I put every single ride, every gym session, it's either Dom Dollar or Fred again, and that's that's my non-negotiables when it comes to training.
I'm like exactly the same, but mine's Rufus to Salt.
Yeah, that's another really good one.
I literally have a playlist on my Spotify of like every song they've made and everybody who's remixed their songs, and it's like so big now. You never really listen to the same songs.
He's an amazing artist. He's so good.
So good. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciated having a good chat, and good luck for the future in racing. Please share the links because we'll all be watching the live streams.
Yeah. Thanks, Elle. Thanks so much. Lovely to meet you, and thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Absolutely, all good. And keep in touch, and if you're ever around down the southern side or if I'm up the coast, we'll have a training session together. Preferably,
definitely
something you have to take me on the trails or something. I can't say that I'd be great because I have no experience, but it would be a lot of fun.
It's all right. Remember, you just have to start.
Yeah,
I'm happy. I'll be happy to ride.
What's the difference of going up a hill?
Yeah, you'll be fine. Honestly, you'll love it. It might scare you though because you might not want to go back to road triathlon.
Oh, honestly, I wish that I lived on the East Coast because I would compete. Like, I'm tempted some days just to be like, can I get a job transfer up there just so I can come and race with you guys?
It's a good place to be, that's for sure.
So good. How bloody interesting was Hannah, right? From a small town to getting onto a diving instructor to off-road tri. She is definitely the athlete to watch in the sport of off-road triathlon in the coming years. So check her out and follow Hannah into the future of the sport of off-road triathlon. A big thank you for Live and Breathe for sponsoring this podcast. I've been testing out their running shorts and believe it or not, they are amazing. I have had so many problems with chafing with shorts and especially with running. And ever since I've got my Live and Breathe shorts, I've never had a problem. So go and buy yourself a pair at TWLPOD15. That will also be in the show notes. That's Live and Breathe. You know what? While you're there, why don't you go and check out the Try Me series this Friday? We would be talking all things running. Everything you need to know from getting started to all your equipment and all our hot tips and tricks. So if you're not, go and check out last week's episode that was all about cycling. It's a great app, guys. Also there for a good laugh. Well, thank you for listening today. Much appreciate you staying around. Hope you enjoyed this pod. Please share it with a friend. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't forget to go and follow us on all of our social media pages at the Wellness League Pod. And if you want more of me, at discovering_ET. And, come back next week and listen to some more. Have a wonderful day. Have the best week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.